a boy who was abandoned at the bottom of a well. He's the very same person who years later would rise Egypt to the peak of its power and save it from a devastating famine. A name honored by all three of the world's major holy books, each in its own way. But when you turn to the history of ancient Egypt itself, you won't find a single trace, not even one name. So how is it possible that a man who changed the fate of an entire empire simply doesn't exist in that empire's own history? Joseph was not Egyptian, not of the Nile, not of this land's soil. According to religious texts, he came from Canaan, with a caravan, like a stranger, with no crown, no army, not even a name anyone would recognize. And maybe that exact nobodiness is the key clue to this whole mystery. Because the ancient Egypt wasn't just the land of pyramids, it was the land of names, a place where a single name could make you immortal forever, or, with one simple decision, erase you from history for good. So here's the question. If Joseph really became as powerful as they say he did, why is there no trace of his name left? In a land so obsessed with names.
The people prosper under your rule.
But before we jump to conclusions, there's something we need to understand. Most of Egypt's administrative records were written on papyrus, not stone, not temple walls. And papyrus had one enemy, moisture, the very same moisture that surrounded the Nile. The exact place where all of Egypt's administrative buildings stood, which means any document that carried an official's name, any report that mentioned a minister's name, may have quietly disintegrated centuries ago. But one question remains. If Joseph really was Egypt's second highest official, if he really did save an entire empire from famine, why wasn't his name carved into stone inscriptions? Like the pharaohs, like the great commanders.
Why isn't there any trace of Joseph?
And this is exactly where the story gets more interesting. Because the answer to this question leads us somewhere no one expected. But there's an even bigger problem. Ancient Egypt didn't write history for everyone. Egypt's official history was the history of pharaohs. Even many of Egypt's great ministers survive only within their own personal tombs. If that tomb was destroyed, their name died with it. But something doesn't quite add up here. Some foreigners, despite all these limitations, are still visible in Egyptian history. So why isn't Joseph? Maybe because we've been searching for the wrong name. The book of Genesis tells us that Pharaoh changed Joseph's name, and this was completely normal in ancient Egypt. Every foreigner who entered the power structure received a new identity, an Egyptian name, which means the person we've been searching for thousands of years might never have been called Joseph at all. And during that very era, Egypt was full of Canaanite men bearing Egyptian names, dozens of officials, dozens of migrants, all with identities that can no longer be traced. So the question becomes, Joseph, hidden among which one of them? In the heart of the Nile Delta, in a city known today as Tel El Daba, archaeologists uncover something extraordinary, an entire neighborhood of Canaanites, houses built in a distinctly non-Egyptian style. And at the center of it all, a palace belonging to a man of Semitic origin, a man of high status, a pyramid-shaped tomb, and a statue wearing clothing no Egyptian official would ever wear. Some, upon seeing that statue, could only ask one question. Could this be Joseph? But the man's name was gone, erased. And this is where a chilling possibility emerged. Maybe Joseph wasn't simply lost. Maybe he was deliberately erased. But who did this and why? To understand this, we need to know one thing. Ancient Egypt was once conquered by foreigners. by the Hyksos, a Semitic people who seized control of northern Egypt. For the Egyptians, this wasn't just a military defeat. It was humiliation. When Ahmose I finally drove them out, it wasn't just a war that ended, a purge began. Monuments were destroyed, and names were erased. And everything connected to that era was buried in silence. Now, Joseph's absence isn't just a mystery anymore. It's a pattern. If he really did live during this period, then maybe we're searching for a man that an entire empire chose to forget. But Egypt still hasn't given up all its secrets. Much of this land still lies buried beneath the sand. Every year, something new is found. A letter, a list, a name forgotten for 1,000 years. Which means the answer could be sitting right now, just a few meters beneath the ground, on a fragment of papyrus, or in a forgotten chamber. So, do you think Joseph really existed? Or is this the greatest legend in history?